Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I've got 4 exciting Dogman encounters from the great state of Illinois. Before we get into these encounters, though, a couple links I'd like to share. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, PayPal, and merch to help this channel to continue to grow and go. Those links are in the description below. I also have a second channel for creepypasta, fanfiction, and scary voice acting. Stories that don't fit on this channel. Now, if that's anything that you're into, follow that link below and give those stories a listen. You may just like what you hear. And last but not least, I just started a GoFundMe page to help raise some money for urban exploration, cryptid hunting, and ghost hunting equipment. So far, I have an EVP recorder, an SLS cam, and some trail cams. Now, if that's anything that you're willing to help with, please follow that link in the description below as well. And with that, guys, I've taken enough of your time. Let's get on with these 4 Illinois Dogman encounters. Shall we? Today's first encounter comes to us from Woodford County, Illinois. Date unknown. I live in rural Illinois and had been experiencing strange noises and activity around my house for a period of couple months, when one night around 4 a.m. my dog started acting up, like she wanted to go outside, so I went to let her out. Before I did that, I flipped on the back floodlights and peered out through the mini blinds because I had a weird feeling. When I did that in the backyard, about 75 feet away from me, this wolf, dog, man thing was standing upright on 2 legs, looking at my back door. It had a proportionally huge head with pointed ears on top, and I noticed an amber-colored eye shine. Its head was canine in appearance, like a German shepherd or a wolf. It had broad, strong-looking shoulders with accentuated deltoid muscles. Its torso was sunken in towards the abdomen, like a dog, and it had no neck. Because of its massive head, it had an extreme forward-leaning posture of around 60 degrees. It had thick, actuated quad muscles in the front of its thighs that angled forward and tapered down to small knees. Below its knees, I could see that its lower legs angled back to hocks, just like a dog has. Because of its hocks, it looked like it could lean back on them if it wanted to and leap or jump. Also, because of the way its legs looked, I got the impression it could jump and run very well. After a few moments of standing there and looking at my back door, it turned and walked into the cornfield that my property bordered. As it walked into the cornfield, I could see its head over the top of the corn stalks were around 8 feet tall at that time. Having such a clear view of it, it chilled me to the bone. Today's second encounter comes to us from Cooks County, Illinois. 1973. My wife was living in Chicago and was about 11 years old at the time. The area was inner city Chicago, not near the lake or woods. It was summer and she was spending the night at her girl cousin's in the basement bedroom of their home. In the early morning hours, around 4 a.m., the dog was growling and woke them up. Those types of basements have windows high on the wall, and one window my wife saw something looking in. It was difficult to make out exactly what it was, but there was enough light outside from the streetlight to see the outline and movement of something looking through the window. The 3 girls all screamed, which woke and brought the 2 older boy cousins down to see what was going on. The girls told them what they had seen, and the boys, who had been sleeping in their clothes, ran out to investigate. The rest is their own account, which they reported a short time afterwards. They saw someone running away and they chased after him. It took a minute or so to get a good look at who they were chasing because of the sparse lighting in the area. But they saw what they said looked like a large werewolf. They thought it was someone trying to pull a prank, a man wearing a realistic werewolf costume, dismissing the possibility of it being real. They lost sight of it and eventually returned. So that's about it. Knowing what we know now, we both think it must have been a Dogman. Today's third encounter comes to us from Christian County, Illinois, 1991. A friend of mine had moved south to work with his uncle. Things didn't work out, so he called and wanted to know if I could go and pick him up at the bus station in Springfield. I said sure. The day he came back, his bus wasn't due until about 1:30 in the morning. When it showed up, he was starving, so we headed up the road to a Steak and Shake. While we were eating, some girls showed up after a night of partying, and we stayed around and talked to them for a while. Well, by the time we left, Brian wanted to see if we could swing by his old girlfriend's house before she went to work. He wanted to see if he could stay with her for a while. I didn't have anything to do the next day, so I said that'll be fine. She lived in Assumption, and to get there, we headed back to Taylorville. Then, instead of heading on to Pana, where I lived, we would cut across through the country to get to Assumption. To do this, you have to go out by the Bernetti Lake. At that time, they had just started developing the place for housing. So it was semi-rural with woods around the lake and a road where we were on. So here we are driving and just about to cross the bridge when this huge canine-type dog-looking thing comes running out of the woods. At our right, there's good-sized freshly dug ditches on each side of the highway. This thing jumped from the bottom of the right ditch, cleared the highway, and landed on the back side of the left ditch. Then it ran into the woods. It happened so fast I didn't even have time to hit the brakes before it was gone. I know some would say it was just a dog that surprised us, but we both agreed it was far too big. Besides, I don't know any dogs that can jump that far. I remember it had gray and light brown fur. It was very bulky and muscular, and it was also on all fours. We decided that we didn't need to hang around the area and sped up. We told our friends, but most of them just laughed it off. Whatever. We both knew what we saw. Years later, I was looking on a Bigfoot website, and I saw there were 2 sightings reported that took place about a mile east from where we had our encounter. When I first read the woman's report years ago, she said it took off running on all fours and was wolf-like. I see now someone has changed her story to make it sound like a Bigfoot. However, her sighting and another reported after hers say this is where Highway 48 crosses South Fork on Sangamo River. Follow the river back east until you see Lincoln Trail Road. That is the bridge we were at. It seems like it uses the river bottom to stay hidden. Also, there are all kinds of housing additions there now. I went to the community-wide garage sale a few times, and it seems as though a lot of cats and dogs go missing in that area. Posters were everywhere. Well, I know it's long-winded, but that was my encounter. Our final Dogman encounter comes to us from Elk Grove, Illinois. A howl, a hit, and a sonic bark. I haphazardly called out to one of these things and saying Gadara. Salt Creek in Elk Grove, Illinois, and got harrowing 15-second howl, which was a combination of a whistle and a scream. July 23rd, 2016, the same day a rock hit the roof of my 18-foot work truck, shortly after my neighbor's dog was dismantled and placed in a few different garbage cans behind my house. A month later, I heard what sounded like a bark, but from the least a mile away. As a kid, I frequented the woods around Chicago and remember seeing two very large, about 50 to 70 foot oak trees tied together at the top in an area where Satanists were known to be active. 4 Dogman encounters in Illinois. One thing, a couple of days ago, that term "Gadara" was used. And then this guy yells it out and gets a response, like a howl, growl, whistle. Something's up. I don't know about you guys, but I'm starting to piece things together the more I read. I've been writing things down that coincide with encounters. I don't know. Maybe it's just the X-File person in me. Or maybe there really is something. I don't know. Why don't you guys let me know what you think? And with that, guys, I bid you farewell.